My spoiled and entitled younger sister slept with my older sister's boyfriend, so we gave her a brutal reality check and slowly ruined her life. After my older sister Maya cut off Sally after Sally slept with her boyfriend, there was a lot of tension in the whole family. Of course, Sally, the golden child, was shameless and went on to date Maya's ex. Maya found it extremely hard at the beginning, and she called me daily for months on end just to vent and talk about it. We were extremely close through this time period, and we helped each other a lot. Eventually, she got over it, met a really nice guy who understood her past trauma and treated her like a princess. They got married, and I was actually the maid of honor at their wedding. She even invited our parents to the wedding despite the fact they enabled what Sally did years prior. My parents didn't attend, however. A few more years went by, and eventually our parents reached out to Maya begging to reconcile with her, and this is where the crap storm started. Maya agreed to reconcile and came to dinner along with her husband Adam. Sally was also there with her husband, Maya's ex. Throughout the evening, I noticed Sally tried to be closer to Adam and hit on him, but he would just shove her off. When it was time for dinner, my parents made a toast. Then out of nowhere, Sally stood up and said that she was so lucky to be here, and that she almost died when she was young. She then redirected to Maya and said, "Sis, I know it must be hard for you because your ex is now my husband, but thanks for your blessing. I know it must be hard for you to be here, knowing how hard it was for you to compete with me, but I applaud your bravery." This was the moment where Sally got the biggest reality check of her life. Maya's husband, Adam, an ex-Marine, stood up and shouted at Sally, saying how dare she insult his wife, and that's when he proceeded to rip Sally a new one. He went on to shout at her,
"You think you are so special because you were a miracle baby. Guess what? I was a miracle baby too, but I don't go on about it like you do. You are such a pathetic woman that the only achievement in your life you have is something that was accidental. What else do you have to show for? Everything you have was basically borrowed from my wife, even your pathetic husband who spent the entire evening hitting on every female cousin in this room. You are so annoying, even your husband doesn't like you. You know what the truth is? You have nothing and you are nothing. You are so shameless and pathetic that you tried to hit on me. You already got her ex, and now you want her husband. I would rather die than be with a woman like you whose personality is worth a paper bag. You have always been jealous of my wife because you always knew you would never be as amazing as she is. That's why you stole from her, because that's the only way you could have what she has. Nobody likes you and nobody loves you. How does it feel to know you're gonna die alone? Is it nice? Do you sleep well at night knowing there is not a single person in the world who would take a bullet for you? Nobody effing cares about you."
Sally was in tears by the end. My parents and relatives were shocked. My parents told Maya, "Well, aren't you going to do anything?" Maya said no and left with her husband. Honestly, even my cousins were silent. I knew no one liked Sally. I, on the other hand, was laughing behind my wine glass. To say that a huge fallout occurred right there and then would be an understatement. My parents both went irate, my mom a little more so than my dad. She was pacing around the house, crying and hugging Sally as much as she could, all while muttering how much she hated Adam for what he just did. Sally's husband actually stayed away from her, trying to make conversation with me of all people, once again prefacing how much of a vermin he really was. A few days later, I went to see Maya and her husband. I talked to her and asked her if she was okay. She said she was fine and that mom and dad has been demanding they apologize to Sally. According to them, everything that Adam said was extremely hurtful and has totally crushed Sally's self-esteem and has even given her unaliving herself ideation. According to them, Sally said she will go through with taking her life unless Maya and Adam agree to apologize to her, and get this, pay her and her husband for the emotional trauma that this whole thing has caused them. Maya apparently laughed her ass off before blocking them, because why should they apologize for the truth, and much less pay Sally a dime? Of anything. Sally should be reimbursing everyone for the years of emotional trauma she has caused us. Maya and Adam also got support from the family. A lot of our cousins' parents were unaware of the incident of Sally and all the bullying. They thought since she was a miracle baby, she would be an angel. I apologized to Adam for what happened. He said sorry back because he lost it. He also had really toxic parents. He basically projected his own anger on Sally. I told him it was fine, and even our cousins enjoyed it. They are making fun of Sally, and he is practically their hero right now. And as for my parents, well, they were still in denial. Another few days passed, and Adam called me, asking me if I could speak to him. So I met him at his house. He made some excuses to Maya and took me someplace private. He pulled out his phone and told me that Sally has been texting him nonstop. He ignores her. He has already blocked 3 of her accounts. The texts ranges from, "Sorry, please talk to me," bashing Maya, calling him unworthy, some dirty text, and also some provocative photos with captions, "I can screw better than Maya, you know." Adam was sick of it. I was furious. Does Sally have no shame? I said enough is enough. My parents need to see what kind of person Maya is. So I arranged a meeting with my parents. We didn't tell Maya because she was pregnant, and the last thing she ever needed in this life was Sally once again being a huge pain in the ass and a homewrecker. The following week, we sat with our parents, and as soon as Adam saw Sally, he went off on her again. This time not as brutal, and he actually managed to stop himself before she even shed one single tear, although she was close. I told them they should control their miracle child because she is acting crazy. She has been sending inappropriate messages to Adam. My parents obviously didn't believe it. I showed them the proof, but they acted like they didn't believe it. Sally kept saying it was a fake account. Someone was trying to defame her. Douchebag Douchebag McGee, Sally's husband, forcefully took her phone and discovered the message. He was screaming and shouting at her. She was curled in a ball, crying and unable to really defend herself because she was caught. Douchebag McGee looked at our parents and said that, "You raised a pathetic liar." The fact that he of all people had the gonards to say something to her shows that she had really crossed a boundary, one that was low for even her. I personally grilled my parents like they were a rotisserie chicken. I told them they are a failure. They always prioritize their golden child over the other kids. Where was their concern when their other daughter was betrayed? Would they have done the same if Sally's boyfriend was cheating on her with Maya? They have enabled Sally so much that she has become an entitled brat. They should know almost everyone in the family hates her and is sick of her. Everybody has even started hating them, all because their entire goddamn life they have made it so Sally is more important than anyone else, and now it is finally biting them in the ass. Adam told them they should be ashamed of the brat they raised. They are a bad parent who failed to teach morality to their child. That's why she is after her sister. And he said, "Look at her. Can you honestly say that you are proud of your daughter? Are you proud that she is a homewrecker? Are you proud that nobody loves her?" My parents didn't say a word. Lastly, I told them to F off. Me and Maya will be cutting them off. Don't even bother calling us. Their whole life they have invested in their bratty child, so they should just ask for her help when they are old. I am done with them. That is when my mom started crying, saying it is really unfair. The whole family is shunning them. I looked at them and asked, "And whose fault is that?" My dad looked pretty much defeated. I bet there were other members of the family that grilled them too and threatened to cut them off for Sally. 6 months after this happened, Sally got caught up in quite a lot of trouble again. This time, however, seeing as she had nobody else to terrorize, she turned her attention to our parents. Mom was still busy coddling Sally, but I had a feeling that Dad had started noticing the behaviors that led to Sally turning out this way. Basically, Dad started getting more and more angry with Sally, and over time he started learning how to say no to her. As far as Mom went, she was so caught up with Sally being the golden child who never does anything wrong that she failed to see hundreds of dollars in cash starting to go missing from her wallet. Suddenly, Sally started showing up in their house with new things, new watches and shoes, and when asked how she got the money, she made up a lie about how she applied for a government grant and got it. Of course, dear mother believed this lie instantly, but Dad was a little suspicious. It took him a while to fully believe that his own daughter could be stealing from him, but when he did, he decided he needed to test this theory out. He bought a camera and set it up in their room. The next time Sally came home with new stuff, he secretly reviewed the footage. He found Sally taking out what looked like $100 out of her mother's wallet. He confronted her about it and the crocodile tears started. She was sorry, she'll never do it again. She feels so guilty. She just so desperately needed the new makeup palette. Anyway, after a lot of back and forth between them, and the mother staying out of it, Dad decided to kick Sally out of the house. Of course, this was not something Sally was just going to take, so she protested, and Dad had to physically drag her and her belongings out of the house. Sally tried desperately calling for Mom, but Mom was heartbroken at the betrayal she faced. Apparently, she told Sally something along the lines of, "After everything we did for you, we ruined our relationship with everyone for you. We were stupid for that. I regret it now. I never want to see you again." And thus, Sally was out on the streets. She called both me and Maya, and actually tried to camp out next to Maya's door overnight before Maya called the police. When she called me, I just laughed and hung up the phone. I wanted and want absolutely nothing to do with her. My dad actually called me after this whole event begging to reconcile. He told me all of this that went down, and I can't help but almost feel bad for everything that happened. My parents have lost everything, and although it is completely their fault, and they should be held accountable for their actions, at the end of the day, they are my parents, and I do want them to be happy in life, regardless of everything they put me and Maya through. I know they have each other at least, and are on a path to mending their relationship.